talk a little bit more about her childhood and youth? It seems like she just sort of popped out of this black hole.
She did.
With the idea of being an attorney, and I find that hard to buy, I guess.
Yeah.
What about the mom or dad, the area where she grew up?
Well, I mean, her parents were really reasonably poor people. Her mother had married her dad at the age of 15. They had migrated across from sort of the Vermont, New York area into western New York a couple years before her birth. You know, they were largely unschooled people. I think, you know, they had enough dreams that they migrated from one place to another. So in that sense, but you know, that was actually a sort of increasingly common thing in the United States, particularly as farmland gave out. You know, I don't see anything in her family background that contributes to these dreams. I think she was one of these youngsters who was smart and a good reader. And she read her books, and the books that she read were about leaders, you know, Daniel Webster and Washington and these guys. And some of the primers would have speeches made by these guys. And she, you know, she loved the idea of leadership and politics. And she said, well, why not me too? Because she also read all of the stuff about democracy and equality. And she's born at that moment in U.S. history, those of you who kind of remember Jacksonian politics, where you're getting some opening. Now, I mean, the opening in this period when she's born of Jacksonian politics is primarily an opening that has to do with class, men and class. But still, you know, it's like every little break in the surface, and you say, well, why couldn't that also be me? But in fact, her father quoted scripture to say, you know, you belong in a home and you belong being quiet. So she seems really to have been self-driven in this. And it's just very hard, I think, for us to really wrap our heads around what it meant, what the level of her ambition was, that she had no role models. I mean, as you said, she has no role models, but she's still driven to do this, to leave her child and go off to college. I mean, she apparently implores her mother to help her, and her mother agrees, and her mother becomes a great, you know, hero to her and lives with her in her old age. But it seems to be generated from within, which is so interesting, isn't it? Yes?
My first question, I have two actually, is when she went off to high school in New York, where did she go to college first to get her teaching degree?
She goes, it's called Genesee College. It's in Lima. I never know whether they pronounce it Lima or Lima. If any of you are from central New York, correct me. And it is a Methodist college. It actually had a lot of students. It was a rather big place. I hadn't realized it until I went and visited it. So here she comes from this, you know, small rural area where people were still living in log cabins. And it's this place with, you know, big brick college hall building and lots of day students.
Okay. And my other question was, you talked about at the very end she represented some of the Cherokee Indians.
Yep. Yep.
What was that for? Was it for like them being removed from their land?
It was a much later aftermath, absolutely, you're correct, of removal. When she comes to Washington, she meets a member of the tribe, a man named James Taylor, who is there lobbying business for his tribe. And what he's lobbying has to do with getting monies that are owed, that had not been paid, for the treaties of removal. She signs on doing business with him and for the tribe. I found a docket book entry as early as 1875, and she's at it for 30 years. Anyone who knows anything about federal Indian law, you know nothing ever happens fast in federal Indian law, and usually the lawyers never get paid, it's their estates. And she is in fact 75, only her good health sort of keeps her there. But it was treaty monies that they argued were due. Yes?
Anna Howard Shaw had a similar background. Did she interact at all with her?
Yes, they knew each other, and if I remember correctly, Shaw actually speaks at her funeral, Lockwood's funeral.
Okay.
Yes, there are, you know, this couple of dozen of very strong women committed to democracy and to change, and Shaw is one of them. Can we do one more question before we? I've got this light in my eye. Are we good? Yes.
After this great lady passed away, what woman came into being that we would recognize or look up to like we do to her?
Wonderful question. Well, of course, there were some tremendously important and admirable women in the progressive period, overlapped a little bit. Jane Addams at Hull House in Chicago, Florence Allen of the National Consumers League. And then I think we fast forward to perhaps some of the women, the one or two women that Franklin Roosevelt brought into his administration, and of course to Eleanor Roosevelt herself. And then perhaps a little bit later than that, women like Margaret Chase Smith. In the legal field, let me end with some research that I literally just finished a week ago. I was asked to do an article on women lawyers who practiced before the US Supreme Court. And of course, the idea of the editors was that I would start with Lockwood and come forward. And so I started researching this, and what I found was that for a very long period of time, there were virtually no women who practiced before the US Supreme Court, really until the 1950s and 60s. You know, we're talking only about 2 or 3. So in terms of women that we would look up to in the area of law, they practically didn't exist. There were some women working for the government in the 30s and 40s, but they weren't people who were publicly known. And it's not until the second women's movement and that women fight to end discrimination in our law schools and start going to law school that you be in numbers, that you begin to get a large number of women, not just attorneys, but then women practicing before the court. When Justice Ginsburg came and introduced my book, one of the things that she said is that it is now quite common for us to have a case in which there will be a woman arguing opposing sides before us. That said, I don't like to end on a down note, but it's, you know, it's our reality, so let me end with it. One of the things that Justice Ginsburg also points out, she says, since my dear beloved colleague, Sandra Day O'Connor, retired, I am the only woman on the court. So, lo, these many years after all of this pioneering work of reform to bring women into equal status in the United States, one of our 3 national institutions is really, you know, very out of whack, I think, with the rest of the nation. If we look at our universities, if we look at who teaches, who's administrators, if we look at business, the number of CEOs in business, women have made advances which, for the many political reasons, our presidents have not done as good a job, and our Senate has not done as good a job bringing women onto the Supreme Court. So maybe that's a change that we'll see in the next presidential cycle. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jill. That was wonderful. I encourage all of you, our book is out front on Belva Lockwood and for purchase, and I'm sure you're going to be willing to sign a few copies for whoever would wish. And we have some refreshments outside, and also make sure you see the eyewitness exhibit. And again, thank you for coming out on this windy and cold, blustery night, but I guess winter has arrived. Thank you.